Making a video. A response video to your Lord and Savior, my dearest friend in Mendham. Yes, who knows what's coming. Maybe something witty and entertaining. Maybe something potentially profound and meaningful and gets to the core and the substance of what it means to be alive on Earth in 2017. All of this history, thousands of years of human beings, getting their fingers dirty in the mud, trying to figure out what it is to play a good game. And, maybe we'll, do credit to that history by saying something that actually gets to some part of a truth. Yeah, about what it is just to be one of these stupid, silly human pieces of shit. Or something like that. Or, like I said, or maybe not. Don't know yet. We'll both find out. So, let the fun begin.
Good evening, YouTube. So, yesterday was my day off, and
This video is not an hour and 49 minutes long. No. Maybe I'll just read the comments. Old school. Ray's best talent is his ability to break complex information down to simpler concepts that would even enlighten someone with a Beavis and Butthead-like understanding of the world. Enlighten them how? To me, what? Even better at farting? He said fart. What? Thanks for the shirt removal. Gary is jealous of you. Well, no, I'm not really. Because, frankly, he's got some big boobs. But anyway, I mean, that's not a good thing on a man, I don't think. Big boobs. But anyway, why are you making this video for 2 hours? It only took me 2 minutes to finish. I don't know. Anyway, so strange, yes. I was going to wear a shirt as he's wearing now. One of these straight American kind of shirts, which is, I get all my stuff from the garbage, so I don't choose my clothes. And I especially like wearing clothes that actually don't fit. But anyway, but yeah, I would never buy one of these like regular cut sleeve shirts because they're cut at such a stupid location. And and look at this pattern. So you wear a man shirt and you roll the sleeves up, roll your sleeves up kind of thing. If you want a short sleeve, or else you have smaller sleeves so you have more arms showing, so it's more of a man thing, in my opinion. It's a little bit added. But yeah, 1 hour and 49 minutes, oh man. I can't respond to that. I don't even know if I can watch that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Fuck.
decided, I should work on the growing asymmetry between my arms, because like I said, this arm has been getting really big from carrying that tray full of heavy stuff a lot. And, well, I should probably work on the asymmetry before it pulls my spine out of shape.
Yes, and we'll do that, actually. Learned from experience. As I did that tray carrying thing for a few years. And it ruined my back. Eventually. Just don't do it, or just don't do it professionally. Yeah, don't try too hard. Because that's the challenge, right? You just keep the game always get ups, and it's like who carried the most shit the fastest upstairs and across ice and across parking lots, and it ends up being some sort of Olympic contest. And the competitive types, it's any kind of contest is it's bad news. Just end up hurting yourself.
So, as I tend to overdo things, I just got a 20-pound dumbbell, and I spent 2 solid hours just doing this with it, this, doing curls, like just 2 solid hours nonstop. Because
Well, that's sort of, you would expect something to show for that, because yes, 2 hours at 20 pounds, did you say? Or 2 pounds? 20 pounds? Yeah, I don't know. Alright, you win. I don't think I could do 2 solid hours of 20 pounds. I don't think so.
I have no common sense. So, at work today, this area between my spine and shoulder blade was just wrecked. I couldn't even turn my head. I asked this guy if he had any ibuprofen. He's like, no, man, but here. And he gives me like 3 Percocet. And I'm like, wow, that is so much more than I asked for. But okay. It's like asking somebody if you can borrow their bicycle and they give you a fully fueled Learjet. Alright, So I'm in no pain now. Woo! I can turn my head again. I can't handle my drugs like I used to, so I'm feeling the opposite of pain. And I'm feeling kind of sentimental. So
Great. Anyway, well, in the opposite way of great. Another drunk, so to speak. I should speed this up and see if we can get anywhere. Yeah, sorry, I guess I'm just going to have to... I guess I'll have to go back to a holiday video that's, short and sour.
I should check in on my old buddy Amanda, because somebody said that he did a video, and I was included in it. Here's the caveat. It's a 31-minute video, and I only have 8 gigabytes on my Wi-Fi hotspot, so I can't download his whole video without killing that. So I'm going to have to play it on my phone. So I've turned up the amplification on my microphone, and hopefully that won't produce too many popping and hissing artifacts, because it really seems like the only way I'm going to be able to do it. After I start...
Well, I think you could probably download it in some other format that's less gigabytes, but whatever.
Playing it, maybe I'll pause it, see if it sounds too bad. But anyway, since I'm responding to Amendum, he'll be shirtless. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. Ugh. Do I look less asymmetrical yet? Probably takes more than a day. Yeah, it's still fucking puny. You gotta start somewhere, right?
Yes.
Alright,
so I guess we'll get to something. We'll get to one line, and then we'll say that's enough of this bullshit.
Old buddy, old friend, old pal.
Yes, whatever.
This is a little dry. Well, actually, maybe that's because opioid narcotics have an anticholinergic. Spare me your science babble.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yes, right. Your opiates make you thirsty. Seems everything makes somebody thirsty. Everything. Alright, technical issues. Yes, whatnot.
It's a serious business. I don't really so much of that. I didn't watch the last couple of Lord and Savior Snake Plissken. Apparently he's just going back to their stupid ragging on this SJW kind of subject, so let's find the most radical thing.
No. I'm just taking requests. And the thing is, when you take requests, the great thing about it is, you don't have to find it yourself.
Alright, well, I'm just saying, if you're going to take a request, then yes, you're just letting the idiots decide what your agenda is. So that's like you're driving the school bus and you know how to drive, and then you're just paying attention to a bunch of idiots that say, do a U-turn, or something. So there's no point in being like the competent driver if you're going to let the incompetent basically drive, and you're just going to be a surrogate for their stupidity. That kind of thing. The agenda, knowing what's important, not only knowing how to explain something, but explaining stuff that needs to be explained, it's sort of important. Like, because if you just waste your time doing that thing, they'll just keep pointing at rocks and go, what's that? And you say, well, it's a rock. And the point to the rock next to it goes, what's that? It's a rock. You won't get anywhere important or interesting.
And more to the point, because it's not necessarily something you're interested in, well, it sharpens your mental faculties to just do something because somebody asked.
Well, again, this really isn't about... Well, it sort of is, but I mean, it isn't in the sense of a how-to video. Like, becoming a human being for dummies, and so you're showing the process of trying to become a personality on YouTube or become somebody interesting or... So if this is like your how-to video, well then, you should kind of label it, maybe, change your name from Lord and Savior to your how-to guy or something.
And because I have a Patreon, even though I'm not really making that much money, it's like I'm being paid. And I can still respond honestly, or, you know.
Well, I guess I should look that up just to see how much you're getting paid, because yeah, that'd be really annoying if you're getting paid to do just plain douchebaggery and such. Relinquish your stubbornness, and let's see, and I may redeem you, and you may be redeemed. So God said that. Never the devil. I'll keep trying, God. Oh, I don't know. This whole conversation with, I don't know why that's there in the description. But who cares?
Snarkly or whatever. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to provide a service for money. Even if it's not that great of a service, it's not that much money.
Yeah, so then it's not all that nice, I guess. So we'll just say all that, not all that nice of video. Thank you.
This in the world, new responsibilities to them, whatever. I mean, go find the most radical, racist, chauvinist, Christian lunatic and do response videos to them. Is there really a point? I mean, is there really a point in arguing with lunatics?
I don't know, Nathan. I don't know. Is there a point in arguing with lunatics? The evidence at the moment, you know what? Never mind.
Chicken. Yeah, it's not that hard a question. No, the answer is simple. No, it's just a distraction, and like everything else in our society and our civilization, instead of people focusing on the problems that need to be fixed, deficit spending, special interest political system, no real democracy, they waste their time on this crap. Because everybody's just distracted by silly, well, it's easy to explain what a rock is, so yeah, I'll just keep letting the people pointing to rocks, because at least I can explain rocks. It's easy. And so, you don't want anybody pointing to anything complicated, because then you have to think and do work, and, you have to explain, blah, blah, blah. But you seem to like doing some of that, so it's, do better.
So it's really not the subject, and people want to pretend that's the subject, fine, so it's just the pigeonhole thing. It's just like, instead of dealing with arguments about socialism, people here in Colorado will just call you a communist. So you can't have a rational argument about even distribution or fairness or,
Wow, he's juggling his smoking device. Look, I can do that too. Pretty cool. I hadn't tried it before. Mine was cheaper than yours. $14 for 3 of them.
Even distribution. Well, here's a little bit of a problem about even distribution. Are you aware of the law of thermodynamics? The law. The second law of thermodynamics. Now, you know what? Let's not even go with laws. I am the law. The concept of entropy. When everything has been homogenized, thermodynamically speaking, no useful work can be done. Just something to consider.
No, it's not anything relevant to any of these arguments. We're not fucking equilibrium. We're not evenly distributed energy. That's the whole point. We're clumps. Clumps have obligations. You have a brain clump. Yeah, it creates knowledge. It's not absent of knowledge collection. It doesn't break down, can't function. So, cop out again. Yeah, you're just a plain evasion. Wrong answer.
I doubt even just social productivity, which is socially productive. Because as soon as that has something to do with taking or preventing somebody from being who they are, asshole, that's zero honey. That's right.
This is like some kind of bad bandit movie or so. What was that movie? 12 O'Clock High or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, with the guy with the gun and then the cup and look what I can do. Spinny, spinny.
And this smells like the same kind of bullshit. Deny there's inequity, deny there's structural problems in creating equality between the sexes.
Deny there's structural problems in creating. Well, I don't think I've ever actually denied that. I'm sure that I haven't. There are certainly structural problems in creating equality between the sexes. Now, there are some questions that I have, like, what would equality between the sexes even mean, you know? I mean, I understand that 2 equals 2, 3 equals 3, 5 equals 2 plus 3.
Well, I think you got to think a little harder. Yes. Well, obviously, it's not something we can achieve because there's something fundamentally unequal in the circumstance of the sexes. Like if men also had pain in childbirth, even though they weren't having the baby, then there would be an equality there. If they had periods, even though they don't have a uterus, well, then you'd have a more equal circumstance. And if they had fluky emotional bullshit, that would also be consistent. And likewise, whatever burdens that a man has, which I really don't know what the fuck they are, biological ones anyway, he gets too tense, can go have a wank, he can fix a lot of his uneven physiological chemistry. He has things he can pull on to fix that. Where women, it just ain't that simple. Kind of. So, but yes, acknowledging the existence of that and saying, well, yes, so we have to understand that it's really not the same kind of game, but we're going to try to make it a good game. Because women have to be allowed to play. So the game is, they have to be allowed to play, so you have to make the game playable for everybody. And we can do that. We're smart enough. Don't have to run back to Oklahoma and hide behind your mommy's apron.
How would you create equality between apples and oranges? And I guess that's kind of a philosophical question.
Right, that's the whole point, exactly. So, yes, it is a philosophical question, but I'm just saying we obviously know obvious ways of doing it are not to pretend the differences don't exist. That's the first way not to do it, is to pretend apples and oranges aren't different. So let's not pretend they're not different. It's just that the difference don't mean you're less entitled to respect or to play.
When I think about it, how do you value a human to create equality? I mean, how do you value a human? That's fairly subjective. Now, things that aren't subjective are things like...
Well, I don't think it is. It's the argument is whether you call it subjective or not, hypocrisy is still hypocrisy, and duplicity is still duplicity. So if you change the rules for arbitrary reasons of your own bigotry or advantage, then that can be called what it is, hypocrisy and duplicity, whether it's subjective or objective. It doesn't matter what the source of your principle is. If you're hypocritical to it or using it duplicitously, that violation is still kind of obvious.
Laws, opportunities. I mean, I guess the only thing you can really do is just give everybody a fair shake and see how it pans out.
Yes, that's the objective. That's right, exactly. And fair shake has to be acknowledging the fact that it didn't start fair. The race didn't start fair. Women's are the ones who have to do the 9 months of carrying the thing and scream and yell and placenta and shit flying out and all that kind of crap. And so obviously it seems to me that when you're going to talk about who owns the baby, yeah, they own a bigger part of it. Yeah, seems reasonable.
I mean, it's certainly easier than some sort of value allocation and equalization process. I mean, that would be very laborious, probably impossible.
I don't even know what that was, but fine, yes, maybe, possibly.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much more to say about that.
Okay, then, move on.
Also, if the sexes want to be equal, well, again, then we'd have to define what equal.
It's not a matter of what they want. It's the matter is of opportunity. If they show up at the game and say, I want to play, yeah, you gotta let them play. Not saying you have to sit there and, forget about all standards and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying if they can play, they have to be allowed to play. Not a big deal.
In the same boat. And man, nowadays there's new genders popping up left and right, and now you have
Yes, and you don't want to pay any attention to that. Your video, you actually said there is only 2 genders. That's what you said. So you just said new genders are popping up left and right. See, this is the duplicitous hypocrisy part. You made a whole argument about how you're not allowed to use the word gender any other way. We can only be man or woman, and we can't be anything other than men or women. And now you're saying, no, there's new genders popping up all the time. Well, that's the argument being made. There's new genders popping up all the time because people really are sick of being humans. And men and woman is even a stupider version of human. The subcategories of human are even stupider than being a human in the first place. So yeah, I'm fully understand people's lack of will to be one of these idiots on Earth. Even being an Earthling is fairly embarrassing.
It's a really complex equation, and the first one seemed pretty difficult to solve to begin with. Again, I guess you got to give everybody a fair shake and see how it pans out.
Well, the people you're defending against the horrible social justice people are exactly the people who aren't looking for that fair fight. They're saying, no, I'm superior by the rules, and I don't want any fights. I just want them to make me a sandwich.
Problems we just can't even overcome. You're not going to overcome that the female has to get pregnant, and you're not going to overcome periods and hormones and all that shit. You can only try to compensate, and they don't want to do any of that. They don't want to understand. They just want to go into their role play where, I'm king, and the females were fucking and gesturing. She's...
I honestly don't know if the Percocet is making it difficult for me to focus, or if you yourself are unfocused and I'm perceiving you correctly. That's why you shouldn't generally do drugs, kids. Unless you got some severe shoulder pain and somebody hands you some relatively harmless drugs.
Well, Percocet sound relatively harmless, but whatever. Yes, whatever. I think that's an excuse, actually. I think that's just... what, I have to deal with the question that there's fundamental things that, are, women do have it harder and tougher? I have to admit that?
And maybe you shouldn't do a video where you need to focus on what's going on. Although I get the feeling that he wouldn't be that much more coherent. Anyway, females fucking and gesturing. I played the role of a king. I don't really feel like I'm playing the role of a king. I mean, this isn't a lavish throne.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I'm sure in your relationships with people, right? It's your life is the interesting life, right? She's there to feed your interesting life, to make your interesting life more interesting. And I'm just saying that generally speaking, men aren't really thinking that maybe her life is more important. Maybe she's going to do something more important than me. But I don't even think that even occurs to them, that they might be necessary to support her in achieving some kind of greatness, rather than always thinking it's something about her being some muse or some asset that he is going to consume to make him a bigger and better person. That kind of thing. I don't even think it occurs to most men to think about whether they should be improving their wife's destiny. That kind of thing. Or girlfriends. I don't even think it even occurs to them.
I really feel like this isn't directed at me, though. I don't think I'm...
Well, yes, it's directed at you because you're the guy basically endorsing going back to some kind of redneck roots of, Bubbaism.
I'm going to charge Patreon for this video. Because, damn, not so great. Maybe it'll get better, though. I have high hopes.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you should make me laugh now and then or something, and then you can go make me a sandwich. That's their attitude.
I need my own sandwiches, thank you very much. Tell women to make you a sandwich. John?
Right, and so, but there's no other, that's not a metaphor for any other kind of behavior that you engage in terms of being dominant, let's say, in the relationship, the more important character.
I'm fairly lazy, but I can make my own sandwiches. And also, I don't eat that many sandwiches.
Yes, whatever. Omelets. Ew. Ew. Real men don't eat quiche.
Yeah, I mean, well, Snake Plissken is just going back to his roots. He's,
My roots are showing? Wow.
Yes, well, they usually are, which is a little bit also kind of just a vanity point of relevance in some respects. The real men don't frost their hair, but whatever.
Well, the thing is, Amanda, I've been out of the whole video making game for a while now. You gotta get back into the swing of things. And it's fairly easy to do response videos. Alright? And that's what's been requested most. And I'm a people pleaser, man. Since I'm feeling sentimental, I'm gonna let you know a little secret. I really love people a lot. Like, a whole lot. I like an unreasonable amount, considering how people are.
Right. That's one thing we disagree on. That it'd be interesting to know why you do. What exactly about them you appreciate. What about the sloppy, glib, reckless, insensitive, just it's such a badly running machine. I mean, it's like it's not like a Lamborghini, where every cylinder is firing perfectly and blah, blah, blah. It's this clunky Homer Simpson kind of piece of shit, and most people are living those kinds of lives, where they just take so much for granted and they waste so much opportunity to do something useful or good, to do silly, stupid, jump out of airplane crap or something. Ugh. Baseball.
Lawrence in Kentucky or wherever the fuck it was. Oklahoma.
Get it, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. With his time, in the trailer park. Cliche, but it's, too apt in this circumstance.
Words hurt, and then
if it was born now, he'd be born in a trailer. Like that nuts and lunatics.
my dad is a gun nut.
Just going on.
Yes, look, I saw your father. I mean, I heard him. He's fucking a nightmare. I mean, it's a horror story. It's, you could make a Freddy's Nightmare story or narrative, one of those versions of it, whatever they call that when they keep. Well, anyway, one of the levels of Freddy's Nightmares, and you could make one of the traps, one of the little horror scenes out of waking up with a father like that. Scare the fuck out of me.
His roots in Monica. So anyway.
Very insightful.
You can see it when it's responsive at the same time. Somebody asks, why you just do it?
Yes, why the insight is that yes, you're supposed to be intelligent and yet where are you going? Where do you always tend to root yourself? Is in these moron appeal subjects. And you're claiming it's because they want it. Yeah. It's just isn't that exactly the definition of somebody? You're just just being a crowd pleaser? Is that what an intelligent person goes out and does and says, I'm going to get myself a good job as a crowd pleaser? I don't think so.
An old fruit or something. He said, well, of course, because why would I argue with a rational feminist? Because I agree with them. What's the point?
Yeah.
Also, the ideas aren't really that threatening then.
No. Is that your counterpoint? I'm not threatened by ideas.
Well, you sound threatened, okay? I mean, the Peterson guy sounds hysterically threatened. I mean, he's hysterically wetting his pants, and probably literally because he just drinks water all the time. But anyway, because these trannies are they're going to force him to say a pronoun, and he's hysterical over it. And you said, oh yeah, that I feel his pain. So you seem like you're hysterical. That's your rhetoric saying. You're somehow bothered by this. This is a threat to you. You're scared. You had to point out how there's only two genders, so you could point out why we can't have any of this pronoun stuff. There's only two genders, so I say so. That's what the Latin says. They didn't do any of this funky stuff back then. That's the depth of your logic.
If I was threatened by ideas, what I would do is I would find one of these really good feminists, one of these rational, intelligent feminists, and despite them being rational, I would make it look like I was right, and I would make them look kind of stupid. But that would be a silly thing to do, because good ideas aren't a threat.
Well, I know, but what you're doing is just as silly, because to the audience, they don't make the distinction. So you got to know. Yeah, I mean, if you don't, unless you're an idiot from like Oklahoma or something, you're going to know that. Yeah, you got to know that your audience can't make the distinction.
Ergo, it is pointless.
Ergo, it is stupid and silly to do what you're doing, because you're doing exactly what you're saying you wouldn't do if you were intelligent. So you're, by default, ergo, can't be intelligent.
To argue with. On the other hand, and you really, well, I'll get way too close considering my amplification on the microphone. The thing with Kevin Logan, it's odd, I hear all this stuff about pronouns, but nobody has taken the time to explain how pronouns work, or what part of the English language they are, or why they are resistant to modification, and why, if they are modified, they can't be modified outside of the boundary conditions of what they are.
And I don't understand that at all. I mean, you have he and she, or us and them, or some other kind of crap. It's kind of obvious that you could throw another one in there. No problem. 3 or 4 more, 5 or 10 more, who cares? Yes, there's lots of other ways to classify us as groups. And clearly, when you're coming to some idea of gender, as you just pointed out, well, there's lots of, people who are male but like other men, and then there's females who like other women, and there's females who like men and women, and then there's females who like many men and women. So yes, there's lots of different ways people express their engagement with the rest of the world, and I guess why not have a pronoun for every one of them? I'd love to have one for me. Antinatalist or something. Antiist. Fuck youist is probably better, right? Fuck youist. But yeah, I want more identification, not less.
I.e., how specific they are. Like, nobody seems to talk about that. Like, all this debate about personal pronouns, and nobody has even bothered to ask, what does a pronoun do? What is its function? What is its nature?
Right. Well, no one's bothered to point out is that none of this would be an issue if the culture wasn't stuck in these traditional notions that there's some utility to making distinctions between men and women. Like somehow there's some legal reason to give a fuck whether somebody's a Mr. or a Mrs. And that goes back to this whole argument. Why do you need to make the distinction in the first place? Why do we have to identify ourselves as Mr. something or Mrs. something? Why is that even fucking relevant in 2017 when you're applying for a job or when you're doing almost anything? Why it shouldn't, in a sense, be relevant. So the fact that you're forcing it to be, you're defending an institution that's causing the problem because it can't grow out of archaic definitions. It's like the master calling the slave boy. I'm not your man. I'm not your mister anymore. I don't want to play I don't want the role. Okay? I'm not accepting that script. Fuck that bullshit. So let that go, and then you don't have a problem. But the problem is you're calling somebody a mister who's cut his penis off. Now that's fucking retarded, frankly. It's just fucking retarded.
And is the nature of the new pronouns consistent with the nature of pronouns as we know them? Like, these are some pretty basic questions that somebody should ask, or at least concepts that somebody should explain before we go monkeying around with whether or not we're going to add pronouns. I mean, these are...
No, I see absolutely no utility to this crap in the first place if it's non-accurate description. If it's not about making accurate descriptions, it's undefendable language. So any aspect of our language that isn't accurate, like even words like spontaneous and random, should be qualified as non-real words in a sense, because yeah, they don't have any good scientific definition. They're crap. And so, yeah, why not get rid of all the crap that isn't accurate? And again, calling a person who has cut their testicles and penis off a fucking man or mister is fucking stupid.
Really basic things. Nobody talked about that. You know, so I'm like, well, somebody's going to do it. It looks like it's going to be this motherfucker right here, you know?
Well, that's not what you talked about. And again, you didn't talk about it from the origin of the necessity to make distinctions between men and women in the first place. And the origin of the necessity to make those distinctions in the first place was because men were incredibly chauvinistic and the system was incredibly unfair. So that's what we're trying to escape, not make permanent. That was a mistake of the past, playing that game. That being a Mr. was something and being a Mrs. was nothing.
I mean, if you didn't want me to do that, then man, you should have done it. Somebody should have done it. You know,
I have done it. Now, I have pointed out how this whole bullshit is made out of bullshit. It's the bullshit language. You're defending it as if it's some sort of rational thing we instituted, when from the very beginning it was only instituted out of a complete denial of allowing people to even be different. They weren't allowed to be anything else without being killed or burned at a stake or something. So what the fuck is this argument about?
I'm totally willing to let other people do stuff, but if basic shit that needs to get done isn't getting done, well, fuck. It looks like it's incumbent upon me.
Well, again, that's just bullshit, because that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is giving aid and comfort to morons who want to impose tradition forever and basically tell us we all have to live under, you know, God's gender rules. Fuck that.
Is that what you concede? I imagine you would concede that if I put it to them, well, if a man cuts his penis off, I think that's saying, I'm not doing the man thing anymore. If a man cuts his penis and his nuts off, you could figure that out, couldn't you?
Now, see, you didn't even watch my video, because I said if a person's willing to go through that work, then I am willing to say, you know, of course. You're willing to go to that effort. You are a lady. You are a she. You are a her. I am all on board. See, and then you don't watch my video.
Yeah, no, I watch your videos, but I'm just saying that's not what you say and that's certainly not what that stupid Jordan Peterson guy is saying. So, again, that's the conflict, okay? You're defending the Jordan Peterson fucking blanket bigotry, and so you can't qualify that. You know, I mean, you can't just pretend, oh yeah, well, he didn't really mean it, or when the idiots who are going to agree with me don't believe that, then somehow just because I say, well, yeah, like I said, I didn't see the part where he qualified it. Frankly, what video was that in? It wasn't in the Jordan Peterson video. You know, it wasn't in the one when you're talking fondly about, oh, good old dad has taught me. Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure of the, you know, the world's all going sideways because those trannies are taking over.
Oh, and then you just talk out your ass. You know, you could have saved yourself the breath.
I don't think so. Show me the video before I made my video that you made where you qualified it and said if a person's willing to do this, then the pronouns are fine. Because I don't know where the argument is then. Who are you arguing with?
Because calling him a man would be kind of offensive in a way because you're just going to deny the fact that the biggest part of his maleness, the other part of it really, is...
I said I wasn't going to call him a man. I don't know what kind of imaginary person that you're arguing with here. I'll tell you, Lyndon.
Well, then I guess you really don't understand the subject, right? Because that's really what the subject is, right? This whole resistance to the pronoun thing is they don't want to accept that somebody, after they've done that, is entitled to be called something other than he. That you can't keep calling him Mr. That's what the argument's about. Isn't that what the law says? Huh?
You know, talking to imaginary people might be a sign that you're taking too much Adderall. I mean, okay, it's silly of me to assume that everybody goes crazy for the same reasons I went crazy. And you're right, good point, Amendment. I'm sorry.
Well, this you know, this line where you went crazy, or just crazy in some new suit. I mean, it's like green clown, blue clown, purple clown, pink clown. You know, I don't know if there's really, you're off the crazy train yet. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, we'll have to wait and see.
But now, the hormones and the physical device. And everybody still can't use male. Oh, that sounds kind of stupid.
It does.
Obviously, it might not be a woman. It's not fully.
Okay, so you agree then that if the law says to somebody, they sign a contract to rent an apartment, they say, hey, I'm a transsexual. I don't get called Mr., okay? I get called Mrs. And then the landlord says, I ain't got to call you no woman. You're a man. Blah, 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 blah. And no, the guy is allowed to rent the apartment as Mrs. somebody. And if he doesn't obey that law, then he has to go pay a fine or go to fucking jail because he can't obey a simple fucking rule. Now you're saying that that's the thing being fought here. That's the justice that these assholes are against. You do understand what the argument's about, right? That's what this whole pronoun bullshit is about. That this is how the person is living. This is who they are. And they have a right to be respected as what they are. Okay? Not what you want to call them. You're not allowed to call them boy. You don't get it?
Male either. And so maybe you should have a.
You just called it. You just misgendered this hypothetical.
Maybe it should be his right to choose a retard.
You just called it his right to choose. Oh my god, you misgendering asshole. You know, I don't misgender people in Wyndham, so I feel like you're arguing against an imaginary version of me, and you're also failing by your own standards. So that's wow.
Well, if you want me to play your video, I can do that. I don't know. I don't think I think you're confused about what you've said in the past. Yeah, I think you're the one confused.
I'm just going to bask in that. I don't really have much more to say about that. I'm just not going to absorb that.
I don't know what the fuck he's going to do for the next 1 hour and 30 minutes. Holy shit.
Like retard, I'm choosing for you because you're being like a retard. Alright, anyway, for that.
Was that all?
So I guess the big thing I wanted to get
Yes, that's all.
into was the dog experiment. So there were some comments by the troll. It's probably just the John Morton troll guy. So he's using other people's names.
I think that's not me.
And he used Benatar's name and his
Benatar?
comments.
What is Benatar?
Arguing that somehow Benatar wouldn't be for euthanizing animals. And as I pointed out in his book, he does preface his book by saying everything I'm saying probably applies to animals even more than it applies to humans.
Man, I thought it was going to go on a little longer. I mean, I've already committed, like, the next 41 minutes to making a video. You know, I'm pretty big about things happening along my projected timetable. I'm just going to pause this and see if there's anything else in this video to respond to. Ain't nothing going to break my stride. I'm running and I won't touch ground. Anyway, I did fine. A little more from the window.
Ah, thank you.
So anyway. Oh yeah, last snake listeners video was picking on fat issue people.
You know, I haven't been snake listeners for like 2 channels, man.
Yeah, I know, but who the fuck wants to play this Lord and Savior bullshit game? I mean, it's like, feels like cooties. It feels like somebody like in nursery school does that kind of shit or something. It's, you know, I'm sort of embarrassed for you, okay? That was like Blue Clown that came up with that one. And, you know. So, yeah, I'm, you know, it's sort of out of respect to what you used to be, you know, the bigger man. Yeah, Snake Plisskenus was a little bit cooler than, look, I'm Lord and Savior guy. Sure you are.
The times, bro. And I was decidedly not picking on fat people. I was very supportive. Thank you very much.
And yeah, obviously people think fat is, you know, whatever the ideal state of being or retarded. And, you know, there's been some huge denial. I mean, there's basically
Yes. Well, I didn't watch the video as I pointed out, so yeah, I have no clue. I just saw the image on the video. And
I can't fix it, so I'm register candy.
the assumption is,
I mean, it's kind of an app cliche or whatever you want to say.
he's just going to tell them to Grow up! Or something like that. Quit being a pussy. Something like that.
All these things, but I mean, it's lipstick on a pig. I mean, it's just bullshit. You know, there's nothing good about being fat. It's better not to be. Just facts. And yes, like I said, these people who want to sit there and defend, they're defending their own inability to control it.
Again, what was I picking on? And it sounds like you're saying that I should pick on them. So you're criticizing me for, or you're saying I'm picking on fat people. You're also saying...
I don't know. I did point out I didn't watch the fucking video. I said it right out loud. I didn't watch the fucking video. I said it right in the video. I didn't watch the fucking video.
Fat people should be picked on. And I wasn't picking on fat people.
Okay, we have nothing to fear but fat itself. And there's a picture of a fat person talking about being fat, no doubt. So I just imagined he's not saying, gee, this is the greatest fat person explanation of being fat ever. I figured that wasn't what was going on. Pretty damn sure.
Picking on them.
Therefore, they're saying it's something that has to be. Maybe it does. Maybe they can't control it, but you're not going to fool me into thinking it's a good idea for you to be fat. It's not.
I don't think anybody was trying to fool you. Maybe trying to fool themselves. Man, somebody told me that Kelly Drinkwater, whatever, that she died at the age of 34 from heart failure. That makes me pretty sad. You know, it makes me feel bad about the video, sort of. I mean, not that she died, because I mean, we all die. Like...
Yeah, it just kind of depends on what you were going to do besides dying, right? If you're going to get some, like, ovarian cancer, well then, yes, it's good you died of something else first. So, yeah, it kind of depends on what her fate would have been. Horrible humiliation, you know, that kind of thing.
I'm not afraid of death. And the idea that I'm going to die doesn't make me sad. You know, I mean...
Well, again, the dying, it's all about how you die, though, right? So, again, it's, you know, to say, I'm not afraid of dying, that's kind of silly. You can say, I'm not afraid of being dead. I'm just not too thrilled that you have to go through this whole not living anymore thing to get to the dead part thing, because the process can get a little bit messy. The process of not being alive is not necessarily a good process.
I know I'm going to die, just not hey, bitch. What's really sad is that she never got to, you know, overcome that whole thing. But you know what? In my being supportive, I was supportive in a way that if she were to listen to it, there's a possibility she would realize, fuck, I should maybe do something about this. Maybe not. But you know what we know doesn't work? Saying, you know, being fat's bad for your health. We know that doesn't work. How do we know it doesn't work?
Well, I'm just saying any reward and punishment thing doesn't work when people have some sort of other psychological mechanism that's fighting against it. So I would say it's not going to work if you're psychologically overweight. Now, if you're overweight just because you have some bad habits, and you can change something simple like there's that simple diet where you don't eat anything until after 6 o'clock at night. You know, that works for some people because it's just a matter of routine. Once they get into the routine, they get used to it, and it works for them because now their metabolism isn't, you know, it's losing all day when it gains in the period at night, and it's not the same amount of hours, so it loses more than it gains.
Because everybody does it all the time, and she was still fat. I think you're probably right. Like, I think that the best thing to do in life is to be supportive of people. Be supportive and say, you know, let me try to help you with what you're doing. I mean, obviously I'm not going to help make society accept fat.
I'm just saying, quite obviously, when you're saying it's not good to be fat, that's the first thing you have to admit, though, right? If you're going to fix something, the first thing you have to admit that you want to fix it, or you want to change it, or you don't want to be doing it anymore, right? So that's like the first thing you have to acknowledge is that it's something that you want changed. So sometimes you have to have it pointed out to you that it's not good to be fat.
If you're going to do that, that's irresponsible. But if you come from a place of, you know what, you go for it. You go for this thing that you're trying to do. This is your dream. You're living your dream. If she's going to hear that, it might resonate in her head. She might think to herself, does it feel like I'm living a dream? Does it feel like I'm doing what I want to do with my life? She might ask herself that. I mean, she won't because she's dead and I didn't know that. But sometimes, when somebody's doing something just utterly foolhardy, just try the opposite of what everyone does. Support them. Support them and say, hey, you know what? I can see how this is a valid lifestyle choice. I can see how this is something that you might want to do.
That doesn't make any sense at all. It's like talking a pedophile into molesting kids or something. No, you don't really want to do that. It's a really bad idea. Give them reasons why, yeah, I think you can get away with it. That's like a Leopold Lieb thing or something. That's just, you don't need somebody saying, yeah, that sounds really cool. Let's see if we can get away with it. No, that's really stupid.
If they're devoting all of their mental energy to opposition, well, I mean, that's just like a judo move to their psyche. Like, how do you deal with that? Like, oh, this person's supporting me? Well, I mean, I'm ready to defend myself, but, fuck, well, I don't even know what to do. And I have to engage my cognitive apparatus. Like, I got my entire heuristic for dealing with it.
This is all like just made up speculation on his part. Like, well, if I punched this into a computer and made this program, this is exactly how the program would behave, and the little rabbit would hop over to the, you know, shopping center and start chewing on chicken wings or something. Yeah, so it all goes wrong because he programmed in the wrong bullshit. So the story isn't really connected to reality at all. It has nothing to do with reality. Just made it up.
The world has suddenly stopped working because that heuristic is necessarily mindless, and it can afford to be mindless because I only encounter the same thing, opposition. Like, what the fuck do I do now? Like, let me reassess my own thoughts on the matter. When I think about it, this recently homeless guy who just went crazy is supporting me. Fuck. That might mean something.
Right, so I guess if I tried that and I said, yeah, Snake, just keep thinking about how to live your life and make yourself happy, and yeah, fuck worrying about circumstances, that's for losers. Doing that intelligent thing and being able to figure out that your happiness isn't any better than anybody else's happiness, and that you basically sort of have an obligation to use your intelligence to improve other people's lives, not just your own life, and blah, 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 blah. No, that would be a lecture of the opposite, see? So that wouldn't be supportive of you being a selfish cunt. So, but realistically, if I gave you supportive advice in being a selfish cunt, it would make you an unselfish cunt? I don't think so. I think that's kind of retarded. Wishful thinking on your part. You hope that everybody will do that. They'll be supportive of you now. In trying to change you, they'll support every stupid thing you're doing. That's your plan, right? Lord and Savior. Like we haven't been there and done that before.
I mean, it probably wouldn't work, but we know what doesn't work, you know. So anything, the thing that you know doesn't work, is better than the thing that you know for a fact doesn't work.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe it's not incredibly effective to just go, fatty, fatty, fat, fat. But they actually did make little boxes you could put in your refrigerator. So every time you open the door, the box would say, fatty, fatty, fat, fat. You know, because it sort of kind of does work sometimes. It's not a negative thing. It's like if it does anything, it does something positive in the sense that, okay, I get it. Close the door.
Not you getting that right.
I mean, it's the kind of stuff that just, that's the point arguing. Just let the crazy say crazy stuff because they need to, and move on. These aren't real issues. So there's no crisis coming. I mean, if they start saying they're entitled to 5 seats on an airplane, okay, and you move on. But until then, yeah, shut up. Don't worry about it. Lots of silly people need to say silly things, and a lot of them just couldn't matter. And the fact that the media focuses on all this bullshit is the very reason why everything goes to shit. Is because no one pays attention to the stuff that matters, such as the insane financing of our social infrastructure and culture, and the crisis that is the insanity and unsustainability of almost every aspect of it. But let's not pay attention to that. Let's worry about, trannies and tapping. Stupid. Anyway.
Well, you know what? Trannies and fat people are human beings. Now, I'm just a dumbass.
Yeah, I know. So are double-jointed people, so like yourself, right? So we should just pay attention to that bullshit. Let's be distracted by all kinds of bullshit that doesn't matter in any kind of big picture way. I mean, stuff that isn't like the problem isn't urgent. It's not like they're actually in chains and being death marched. So it's not like, Nazi death camp bullshit or something. So yeah, and they're being distracted by these little problems of social interaction and making those the news. Let's see what the crazy people did today. That's what the news is, right? Let's go find crazy people and see what they did today and talk about it endlessly, instead of talking about the fundamental everyday racket we're getting racketed into. Yeah.
Kansas hillbilly. I don't know any of that fancy political nonsense. But
Okay, well, that's your concession. So, admission. Got it. You're too dumb. Okay, got it.
I think I know human beings. I interact with them every day.
That means something. Okay, so some guy who goes fishing with worms is a biological scientist that knows worm anatomy and what worms aspire to be and all that kind of stuff. I don't think so.
Hey, like a lot of people, you think that I have something against feminism, and then you want.
I think you have. I don't know what you have. Yeah, I think you're glib as a basic sensation, not my problem kind of a thing. And yeah, it's hard to say. Maybe you are just doing this performance art, and you just decide to find a crowd that likes this kind of miming. Yeah, maybe that's it. So yeah, you're just talking to people who, you're just contriving a play for the audience. It doesn't have any real purpose or function.
I wonder why I don't go against the feminist scholars. But has it occurred to you that the thing that I've said outright on a number of occasions might actually be the case, and if it is the case, it would explain the thing that you don't understand. I know that's crazy. I know it's crazy. But maybe. And let me see, you said I go after the most radical feminists. You mean like that Asian girl? Or, now call her Asian. That white girl who thinks she's Asian? I'll say she's an Asian girl. Does she really seem that radical to you? Or does she just seem like a lost, unhappy soul?
I don't know. I don't bother with this crap, so I don't know. I've already decided that I've seen my fill of quote mining, inarticulate, or people who make overstatements. But yeah, I've seen my fill of that. Argue with the people who can make the argument, not the people who are trying to learn how. Argue with the professionals, so to speak.
Does she seem like she's a danger? Does she seem like her ideas are threatening? Or does she seem like a lost puppy? Just...
So, well, even this patronizing bullshit right now, just... What does he seem like? Does he seem like a dope addict, or a drug user, or a dumpster diver?
Maybe could benefit from a little bit of life experience. Or maybe somewhat... No, she's going to listen to me. No, listen to me. But, sometimes talking as if what you're going to do is going to change somebody, it can be beneficial in itself. I mean, there's many ways to waste time. You may as well waste time on people in need. And if you see somebody going around feeling oppressed, when they're living a life that is unimaginably good by human standards.
Unimaginably good by human standards. So we're going to argue with the exaggerators by making preposterous exaggerations. Yeah. Great strategy again. Just do what they do, even worse. Great idea. Sarcasm.
That's a person who might need help. Might need a little perspective.
Right, so just trying to help by just adding more noise to a noisy enough subject. Yeah. And playing a psychological game. which is even worse. Like there aren't already enough people who think philosophy is the subject of psychology. Like there isn't already a big enough problem with that kind of bullshit. So anyway, we're on to an hour, so we'll surrender here, and I will have to choose to see if he continues. I don't know what else I said, but I can't be that much more, so he has to move on to something else. But I guess I'll maybe watch it. It's interesting. I mean, I used to be able to care, but I just can't care to argue these little rubbish story, bits about reality when the real subject is our compulsive, addictive nature, the whole thing about being these psychologies playing out this stupid evolutionary game of just basically that, that isn't more sophisticated than a fucking worm pushing itself through the humus. And one of the intelligent notions that should be floating up in people's heads is, gee, that's kind of embarrassing. That we have 100 billion neurons and we're using them to figure out elaborate ways to really just bore holes in humus. That kind of conversation interests me. Or physics, but whatever this is, performance art conversations don't interest me much. So anyway, till whenever I make a video again, yeah. Alright, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And it wasn't as good as it could have been. So yeah, that's all you can say about it, right? Okay, it wasn't the worst video ever made, but not one of the best either. Yeah, there's just I don't got a bright side here. No. So yeah, I'd have to say the overall effect is better never to have been. The video was better never to have been made. Okay, it's probably true. But it's here, and since we've invested in making it, we might as well play it out. Kind of like just our lives. Took a lot of work to build it. Might as well finish this stupid story.